Long Island in Southwest Washington is a bit of a hidden gem, one that's hidden in absolute plain sight. It's about 500 yards off the shore, across from Highway 101 on the way to Long Beach.
It's a wonderful location, even though it's sort of hard to get to.
You need a canoe, a kayak, some other form of shallow draft boat, and a really strong knowledge of tides. If you plan incorrectly, you'll come ashore to a sea of mud.
I am Terry Butler Bates. I am the private lands biologist for the Willapa Refuge complex. There are 5 campgrounds. They are boat only. You have to have a 6-foot tide to get out to each one of them. And each one of the campgrounds has a different number of campsites within them.
I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but I grew up down there, and it wasn't until I'd moved away and came back that I first set foot on the island, and now it's becoming one of my favorite destinations. One that I'm a little hesitant to tell you about, to be honest, because I'd prefer if you didn't go. We were out there for 4 days, and we didn't see a single soul. Long Island is part of the Willapa National Wildlife Refuge, an area of protected land that stretches along the south shore of Willapa Bay and incorporates a little tiny chunk of the Long Beach Peninsula.
In 1937, the president set aside the Presidential Proclamation Boundary, which is the area that surrounds Long Island, and that was set aside specifically for the protection of migratory birds, most specifically waterfowl, because during that time all the populations of waterfowl, your ducks and that, were actually plummeting. And so the president started setting aside these areas to try and create places that they're not going to be disturbed or hunted.
We set out at high tide just as a front was moving in the evening. It got a little windy and a little choppy, but luckily we were able to pull into Sawlog Slough before it got dark and before it started to rain. Then it rained and rained and rained. By morning, the clouds began to part in time for our hike to one of Long Island's main draws, a stand of 800-plus-year-old cedar trees named after Congressman Don Bonker.
We do have, thanks to Don Bonker, who was instrumental in us retaining the 274-acre old-growth forest, kept it intact. So we have that, as well as a little small area that's up on the north end of the island that is also old growth. We're in the process of working with the Nature Conservancy to do forest restoration work up on Long Island, trying to do thinning, trying to create a trajectory towards old growth characteristic habitat.
Long Island's 10-plus miles of trails are kind of surreal. They're basically what happens when you leave logging roads alone for 50-plus years. They're just long slivers of grass and wildflowers stretching through kind of a canyon of trees. The two sides of Long Island are pretty different. The east side is closer to the shore and has kind of a siltier, muddier soil. The west side is open to Willapa Bay, has Long Beach Peninsula off in the distance, and is a lot sandier. It also is pretty ripe with oysters and clams. Like anywhere near the ocean on the Washington coast, you really need to be prepared. And on Long Island, you actually need to bring your own water as well. There's some springs here and there, but you really can't count on them, especially in the summertime. Our trip back to the boat launch after 4 days couldn't have been more different than our trip out. We were greeted by a beautiful sunrise and glassy, smooth water. I can't wait for my next trip to Long Island, and to be honest, I really hope I don't see you there.